What is up, guys, and welcome to Behind the Kit episode 9. Today, we are sitting down with none other than Mr. Chris Turner. Yeah. That Chris Turner. Again, he is probably one of metal's most incredible drummers, from his super tight playing to the creativity that he shows in his compositions with either Ocean's 8 Alaska, his solo stuff, or even his YouTube channel. Chris is an insanely talented drummer, but more importantly, he is an incredible man, which you'll get to know him in today's Behind the Kit episode. I'm so excited for you guys to watch this one. Chris is truly a professional and a great man and a great friend. So with that being said, I'll shut up. So sit back, grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, relax, and enjoy this episode. Welcome everybody to the channel. Welcome to Behind the Kit. I am so excited for today's guest. We have Chris Turner with us from Ocean's 8 Alaska. Chris, welcome to the channel.
Hell yeah, dude. Hello, how you doing?
Doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. You know, before we start, something crazy. You said Behind the Kit. Is that the name of the show?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I released a video like a day ago where I play and review like loads of PDP kits and give them away and whatever. And I didn't have a name for the video until literally the day I posted it. I did not know what to call it. And one of the main contenders for the video was PDP Behind the Kit. And I didn't go for it in the end, obviously. I went for a different one, but that's crazy. I didn't realize that was the name of the show, but that's so wild.
That is crazy. Like, what a small world. It's funny, I watched the video when I was actually out in Canada, and it's awesome. Like, I had a PDP kit growing up too. I can't even remember what brand it was. I mean, what model it was. This was almost 20 years ago, but I had two bass drums, all the rack tom. I mean, it was so much fun.
Dude, that's so cool. You know, more and more drummers that I talk to, especially professional drummers as well, all started with PDP. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I think at least my reason was I wanted DW, but I was a kid and I couldn't afford it, so I went for PDP. I think a lot of people did the same thing, but it's like deep rooted in me. And like doing that video where I was able to play like essentially all their legacy ranges and then to be able to give so many of them away was just so cool, man. It was like genuinely like a heartwarming experience to like full circle it. Yeah. Thanks for watching the video. I'm glad you liked it as well.
Yeah, dude, it was great to watch because, one, you're an insane drummer, which we're going to talk about, but two, like, I've kind of gotten to know your personality a little bit more just as you put it more online, and then also as I've talked to some of our mutual friends, and I'm like, God, just a great dude to go out there and give out these kits. Well, the smiles on the people's faces, they're like, this is huge.
Yeah, it was really pleasant. But dude, thank you so much, by the way. That was really kind of you to say.
Of course.
But yeah, very, very dope. I want to do more. Yeah. I want to do more kit giveaways, man. Like, it's such a cool thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, part of the purpose of this whole thing, the Arizona Drummer channel and the Behind the Kit series, is accessibility. Where you're giving accessibility to the kit. I want to give people accessibility to the artists, to their mindset, to help them understand what it takes to be a pro, what it takes to get a gig, keep a gig, all those things. And so the fact that you're like, hey, here is the actual instrument, let's get started, go, like, that is the best thing I think you can do.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, for me, like, similar mission statement to yourself. My mission is just like fun, like joy. I've got so much joy from drumming and music, and both drumming and music have got me through all of my hardest times in life. Like, man, you know how life is real, isn't it? It gets you down sometimes, and I've had times where I haven't smiled for a whole week. I've been so beaten down by so many bad things all happening in one go, and the only thing that makes me smile is when I get back on the kit. And it's like almost like you can't fight it, because it just organically you start to smile. And I'm like, if I can inspire more people to get even an ounce of joy out of drumming and music, then I'm happy. So for me, like, that's my mission statement, is is fun through enjoyment through drums and music. That's my goal.
I think we are completely aligned with that. And
Yeah.
that's, I won't go too much into my backstory. We're going to start with yours, but what I will just say briefly, because I know I talk too much, is this will be fun. But I did this professionally up until 2012, and then I got the call we're having a baby, so I put the sticks down. I didn't quit drums, but quit doing it professionally. And when I came back in 2020, it was that I'm like, I'm not taking any of this for granted. I am going to share what I know about the drums, share my experience, share my passion. Anybody who watches my videos sees me smiling, screaming, laughing. I mean, all of the above, because this is where we can be our real selves. This is where we can really express ourselves and communicate. But I want to know a little bit more about your background.
So I know that's the point of this call. So of course, let's do that. But I really want to just ask you questions now. But I know that's not the point of this. But I want to be like,
go for it.
I even want to ask about the kit behind you. I want to know what it is. But you're right. Let's do some questions for me, and maybe we can do that after or something.
Well, I'll tell you, this is a conversation, so even though I've gotten a little bit of feedback in some of these interviews that I talk too much, to me, I'm like, we're building a relationship here.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We're building a relationship. So, yeah, you feel free. Ask me questions. I'll ask you questions. And just to tell you, behind me is a big old double bass SJC drum set.
Right.
And I'll send you a picture after so you can see it.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But as far as this is concerned, let's start at the beginning. How did you get started with drums? How did they come into your life? What was the moment where you're like, that's what I want to do?
Right, yeah, cool. So, for me, it was a very organic, like, way in, if you will. So, my dad played drums, and he never, I guess, like a lot of people who, like, have kids or whatever, like, just, bring their kids along to their hobbies, so their kids naturally just kind of do it as well. But my dad was really, like, good in the sense that he never like forced me into anything like that, never forced me into drumming. He just sort of left me to my own devices, and if I took interest in something, he would encourage that, but if I didn't show interest, he wouldn't bother. And I guess I didn't actually show much interest in drumming, funnily enough, until I saw him play live. And I was 4 years old, so I was only like a proper little kid. But I was out front for his line check, and he line checked the kick drum, and it near enough knocked me over, like the air in the subs. And I just remember I was just like proper like pot of gold opening moment in a film. Like I remember thinking like, my dad made that sound. My dad filled this entire place like with a noise he made. I was like, that he must feel like the king. He is the king of this place right now. Like, I just thought it was the coolest thing. And as soon as he got off stage, I was like, you gotta show me what the fuck to do over there, because I need to do that. And yeah, nothing changed. Literally nothing changed from that day. And I also think this is something I didn't connect the dots here until someone else did recently. But they said, do you think that that's why you're so interested in double kick and kick drums and kick drum sounds, because you started like with falling in love with that? And I think there is something to that. I definitely think there is something to that, because I love double kick. I love kick drums. I don't know. It's just it's my thing, isn't it? And maybe that is because that's where the initial love started. But yeah, dude, that's my backstory. From there, it was just all the usual stuff, like lessons with my dad, and then lessons at a drum school, and then I went to college for music. I did all the normal steps. It was only until I left college that it got a bit more unique, because that's when I really found my voice on the drums, and that's when I really found my unique, if I could say my stance is unique, I don't know, but that's really when I found what I really enjoy. And similarly, I found the things that I don't enjoy as much, and that's when I started to really sort of go down the rabbit hole that I am very deep into right now. So yeah, that's me, dude.
I love that. And I'll tell you, one, kind of paying homage to your dad, whether it's subconsciously or not, like, that's awesome. We're talking about this kit right behind me. My mom passed away 3 years ago, and on the snare drum, there's a badge. Thank you. Yeah, there's a badge for her when she was born, when she passed. Because similarly, like, that's what it's about. Like, we wouldn't be doing this without them. So how can we pay respects to them? So that's awesome. And to your point, you are known for the kick drum stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit. But I know that you get that question probably more than any other question. So I'm going to try not to go down that path.
I mean, it's what I do, so it's, I guess, crazy not to talk about it as well, I guess.
But maybe I can give you some questions or curveballs you never had, because I was one of those kids who, Joey Jordison was my number one influence. It was the first drummer I heard where I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you could do that on the drums. And so I've been playing double bass basically as long as I can walk. And so to me, like, it was less about like the heavy metal part of it, and it was more about the fact that, like, he can express himself with all four limbs, because he has tones and notes and options to do it. So for me, that's where what it came about, is like, oh, I can do more if I get good at this, and so, now I throw double bass into everything, but it's a little bit more tasteful than I used to do it. It's a little bit more like it supports the rhythm of the song. Like, you can get really creative. And I think that's one of the things that I would say I know you for is, yes, the double bass, but it's your creativity behind the kit and how you approach fills, how you approach your grooves, your cymbal accents, like the little Holy China you have right there on the front, like the way you use that to accent, certain sections of songs. Like, to me, that's creativity, and that's what I think of when I think of you. And that kind of, I think, brings us to Ocean's 8 Alaska, because again, like, your band is exceptional. Like, it's some of the most technical musicianship, but also drumming out there. And so I have to ask, how did that band get started? Like, what was that process like for you, starting the band, getting everybody together, writing the music? Like, how did that kind of come together?
Yeah, dude, definitely. Very quickly before I answer that, I just have to say thank you so much for the kind words on my playing. A lot of people don't talk about any of the things actually that you just mentioned. People really do just see me as like a double kick drum. That's it. People just see me as feet. I don't have a face to most people. I'm just a foot. But I do really try. It's not that I try. It's just that I actually enjoy and pride myself on a lot of the other stuff that I do. It's getting more recognition now. The more that I do, I think anyway. I hope. But it can feel a bit like you put into a box sometimes when you have like the thing that you're known for. So I just wanted to say thank you first and foremost for the kind words, but also thank you for seeing the other things that I do.
Yeah, dude, of course. You are an exceptional drummer. It's not just double bass. I think double bass is a component, of course, but it's about recognizing the composition of what you're playing. And I think we'll get to your solo work in a little bit, but the solo work, I think, has really put a really bright light on some of the just like super creative fills and cymbal work, because I think that to me is. And then also, I think, we'll talk about going live and like being. I know you played like a whole album live, and so there's a lot we could talk about. But for me, I'm like, yeah, you're an exceptional drummer. So anybody, I'll let you keep going. Ocean's 8 Alaska. I will not interrupt anymore.
No, yeah, I do appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, Oceans. So Oceans is, funnily enough, if you want to like go back far enough, is my first band. It's my high school band. I say we, me and the guitarist James Kennedy, we went to the same school, and we started it up when we were 12, 13, I think, young. And I mean, we were just like, we weren't doing anything good then. And I think we were called, I don't remember what we were called. We weren't called Oceans, but we had like a different name. And we did all the mistakes that you do when you're young, because you just don't know the etiquette. So like, at our first show, I think I was I think I was 13 or 14, and I had to get like a special like go ahead that I can enter the venue, because it was like, I guess like I was too young or whatever, but yeah, I had to get like signed off to even be able to play at the show. And I just saw like food and drink around the back, and I was like, oh great, we've got crisps. And I had some like potato chips and crisps and stuff. And then it's like, no, that's for the headliner, and you get a slap on the wrist. And I was like, I didn't know, proper deer in headlights. But we made all the little mistakes that you make growing up that you don't know, and we sort of started to learn. Oh, okay, this is how things work. This is how you do it. And then when we were about, I think 15, I think that's when we said, okay, let's take this more seriously. Let's actually like do it right now. So we changed our name to Oceans, and we did what we at least thought was the right way to do it. And we shot a music video for Clocks, and we recorded a couple of songs, and we put literally all our savings into it combined. And I don't know if we just got lucky, dude, or what, but that song Clocks like got in a real good YouTube algorithm, and it just kept bumping numbers, bumping. I remember it was like, oh my god, are we gonna hit 1,000 plays? And then it was like the next morning, we've hit 10,000, and I like 10,000 was unheard of for like any of all the projects locally. And like we were like 10,000, and I remember we'd watch it and we were like counting down, like, will it hit 100,000? And we were like watching it every morning, refreshing. Um, and it hit the 100,000, and dude, it just didn't stop, and it passed 1 million, and we were just like, what on earth is going on? Like, it was the most wild, surreal thing. But yeah, dude, from that song, it all just carried on. We got a record contract from that, and then as soon as we signed up to like an American label, they were like, "Well, we got to get you out here and do some tours." So we all of a sudden we're flying overseas and doing tours over there, and yeah, dude. I mean, it's wild. It was a wild little time. And that's the story really. We've have kind of didn't stop touring for a long time. We did a lot in America. We did a little in Canada, but we did a lot in Europe. We've done a bit in Australia, a bit in Japan, and yeah, we just was on the road a lot. And I think we kind of experienced a bit of burnout on the road. And we said, oh, let's hang back and sort of write a record now, and stay home for a bit. And then COVID hit, so then we were like home for ages. And now rebuilding back up after COVID, it feels really different in a good way. It's like, because it was just so fast and we were so young, a lot of it just flew by as if it didn't like feel real. Um, and then all the only I hate to say it, but the only bits I remember is being burnt out and being like, man, I want to go home. And I think that since COVID and since having a lot of time at home, and just being older now, I now have this massive respect for it. And every time we go anywhere and do any show in any new place, I'm just so awestruck by it, and just I find it all so incredible. And I have this newfound love and respect for the shows that we do now. And yeah, dude, it really is crazy. Actually, like, it's pretty crazy. I know there's tons of musicians that tour, and I'm sure they'll all say the same thing. But yeah, man, still is a wild, wild ride. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I know that feeling. So like, I did some touring, like I said, when I was younger. I went off and we were kind of doing it professionally, but it was kind of a similar thing. We did the album, we did the music video, and it starts to blow up, and you're like, this is awesome. We're starting to do some touring, and then I mentioned earlier, I put the sticks away, came back to it later, but coming back to it in my 30s, I'm like, every opportunity I get, I don't care if I'm playing to 30 people or 30,000 people. I don't care if I get 30 views or 30,000 views, right? It's just like, I just love that I get to play drums and share it with people. And every like this right now, like, is the highlight of my day, just because, again, I get to talk to somebody about drums and we both get it and we both have that experience. And so to me, I'm like, every opportunity is something that I will never take for granted again. So like to see your love and passion for it is pretty awesome. And I'm also curious, you mentioned, and I've been there too, like being young, I had the same thing, playing in bars when I'm 12, and they're like, hey, you got to come in through the back because you cannot walk through the bar, and, stuff like that. But you also mentioned like some of the etiquette, right? Of like, hey, we learned the do's and don'ts. We learned what we should do, what we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, in your opinion, there's so much more to being a professional drummer and musician than just the playing.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, whether it's handling business, content specifically, your content is like incredible. Networking like we're doing right now. But what do you think has been the biggest lesson that you learned kind of on the other side of like building your brand and business?
I think that's a good question. I think that the biggest thing I've learned is it will only go as far as you will take it. So you said that there's so much else to learn on the road and all these other things, but so many people don't learn. And I think that's and you say there's so much else to the business side, but so many people don't get involved. I know firsthand a lot of musicians, and I'm not saying this is bad, this is just how they choose to operate, but they really do sit in the bus all day, get out, play, and get back in the bus. And that's just how they choose to do it, and they don't get involved in any of the other side of it. So I think what I would say is you can learn as much as you want, as long as you want to, as long as you're opportunistic, as long as you're enthusiastic, as long as you make time for people. You said about networking, like if you make time for people and they'll make time for you. And I think that you can take anything as far as you want it to go, as long as you genuinely want to take it there. Do you know what I mean? So I think, this is a very long-winded way of saying, I've learned to just get stuck in and just do everything full commitment, full steam ahead. And I've also learned that that's really scary, but the times that things aren't scary are the times that I tend to not make progress. I think that if you're a little bit scared with what you're doing, then it means you're pushing yourself suitably, like my first drum show, I was so scared, but I knew that was a good move. And like a flood of drum shows have happened since, and I love the drum shows. And this is a very long-winded way. I was caught a bit off guard. It's a good question. I've not been asked that one before. I think I do think it's just about the individual and how far you want to take it and how much you want to learn. I think that if you want to remain in the back, you can happily, but I think if you want to get stuck in and do more, then there's a whole world there for you.
Honestly, you said you were taken off guard, but that was a fantastic answer, because I agree 100%. Like
Thank you.
Well, to your point, like, and it depends on what you want, right? Because if you just want to play the show and go back, cool.
Yeah,
do your thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Great.
But if you want to build your brand and your reputation, and you want to get to know a little bit more about one of the things that I think I've really enjoyed, because when I came back to this, I just came back to play drums on YouTube, just for fun. And now, since then, I've toured Europe, I've toured the US, I've gone to, NAMM, drum shows. I was just at Sabian, we talked about that, at DW. I'm meeting all these people, and it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm at Sabian, or oh my gosh, I'm doing this. It's like, no, I just got to hang out with Randy Ross for 8 hours because he's a freaking awesome dude.
Randy is the best.
So,
he's so cool.
Right? So, like, to me, it's, not only is there some advantageous aspects of learning that side and understanding how the business works and building those relationships, but it's like a more fulfilling way to go about it, I feel like, when you're able to make connections. And so I think that was a great answer, because I will agree with you. The humility and vulnerability to, like, I'm going to be wrong, and there's room for me to learn, there's room for me to get better. That's not something everybody has.
I
And
think
the
that
discipline.
I have a lot to say about that actually, because I think that a lot of people think that making mistakes is embarrassing or is a bad thing or something to be avoided, should I say. I I completely see the opposite. I think that you should be best friends with your mistakes because that's literally how you get better at drumming. That's how you like. No one just wakes up playing awesome drums. Or in fact, I heard a quote recently. It was something like the world's best at everything all started sucking at that thing. Like, and the only way you get to these places or take anything far is by sucking at it and then by messing up and then learning what you did wrong and improving. And yeah, I see a lot of people with like, I don't know if it comes down to like shame or pride or embarrassment, or I couldn't tell you where it comes from, but a lot of people shy away from getting stuck in out of fear of, reputation or being embarrassed or whatever. But I completely see the opposite. I don't see it as a negative thing. I see it as like, oh, here's an opportunity to get stuck in and learn and move forward and do better. And yeah, man, that's not necessarily specific to drumming. That's like a life perspective thing. I guess you could apply that to everything.
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. I've worked the last 15 years in the corporate side of the world, obviously taking care of my daughter, building a life. But that's one of the things you have to learn real quick, right? Is like every mistake you make is an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn, to be better. And that's one of the things that helped me go from corporate back into drumming, is taking that to the business side of like, you're not going to be perfect. And if you are perfect, you're probably missing something. There's probably a blind spot or something you don't know about. So I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I don't put every video I put out is not perfect, but I learn, hey, maybe I need to mic this differently or practice this, or it's just an opportunity to get better. And you said something too I want to just touch on really quick, which is you have to be willing to do the work. You also have to be willing to take a leap of faith in yourself. And I'll tell you, I went years on this YouTube channel just doing the covers, just putting them out there, and I'd get a gig here and there, I'd get hired to do a session or hired to do a live gig. But this really started to grow when I just started to take more risks. I'm like, no, I know what I want to do. I'm going to put myself out there. If I mess up, we'll learn, right? But at the end of the day...
Yeah, because like I did the same thing with my YouTube channel. I did a video which I thought is gold. I still to this day believe that it's gold, but it was one of I think it is my worst performing video ever. It's where I cooked a steak with my kick drum pedal. I like literally double kicked on a steak for 2 hours until it was officially cooked, and I thought that is comedy gold and just so entertaining and amusing to watch. And no one cared about it. People are like, I actually just want to see you play real drums. I don't care about this like entertainment stuff. But it's like one of those things, isn't it? Like I took a payoff, but it did at the same time because I learned a lot. I learned what my audience want to see from me. So there's still really valuable lessons to take from it. So it's like, although the views aren't there, it didn't fail for me. Like I was able to move on so much stronger from there because I learned. And also, I have no shame in that video because I think it's hilarious. So like, I,
I know what
you
video
could
you're
look
talking
at it.
about.
Oh, did you watch it or?
Of course, and I thought it was hilarious too. I'm like, it reminds me of like, because I live in Arizona, like people taking the eggs out and cooking them on the side of the street. That's what it made me think of like.
Whereabouts in Arizona are you?
So I got it. I'm in Phoenix, so I'm like right next to the downtown area.
Right. Remind me what your local venue is, because I've
So there's the Nile, and then there's the
the
Marquee
Nile,
Theater.
dude, the Nile. Thank you so much. Oh God.
Yeah,
That's one of the only shows I've ever cancelled was at the Nile. I mean, we've played there like I couldn't tell you 4 or 5 times, but one of those times I had to cancel because I was like vomiting and like shivering in the van and like I like completely unable to even like talk to anyone or move. And yeah, we had to cancel that show. I felt terrible. Also,
But,
hot,
but
hot, hot Arizona desert is not a nice place to be sick in a van. It's like a really nasty, sweaty place to be ill.
Well, especially it's like 117 degrees outside, you're shivering still because you're sweating and you're like, oh my God, I feel like whatever sickness is inside of me is being cooked to be worse. Like, it, and it was funny, I was telling you this before. So like I left when I went to Canada to go to Sabian. I left here, it was like 117 degrees. I get to Canada, it's like 100 degrees, but like 90% humidity. And it was way, way worse. You know, we're in the melting room where they're like making the blanks, and I'm just like drenched in sweat. It was just unbelievable.
but
Yeah, but the Nile Theater is awesome, and you know, it's actually, just to kind of give you perspective, it's like 30 minutes from my house. So like that's
okay,
kind of,
right.
I live relatively local. Yeah.
Remind
so
me, there's like on the street, on that strip, I remember there being some like statue, like figurines or something of like, I think it's like of an animal. Could you refresh my
oh
memory? Am
yeah,
I close?
You are close. Yeah, there's up and down that strip. There are different statues. There's people. There's dogs. There's all kinds of
Right.
stuff. And there's art on the walls. Yeah.
oh yeah, we
Yeah, I
call that
remember it being
downtown
cool.
Mesa.
Yes. And there was Wi-Fi. Isn't the Wi-Fi like Mesa Wi-Fi? That was
Yeah,
wild. That was the wildest thing. Because that was back when like I didn't have phone service when touring, so I needed Wi-Fi, and I was walking around like, oh my gosh.
I had something similar. We were in Cologne last year, and the city of Cologne, you know, right next to the cathedral, they have Wi-Fi, and so I'm like, what's going? Like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. You know, here I am in Germany, and I can still do all the stuff I need to do. Like,
So
I love it
crazy.
when cities do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
that
Yeah,
should be
massively.
like
if you want, yeah, if you want to generate tourism, like that should be rule number one.
I'm so impressed with the SE stuff. Genuinely, it's like
yeah.
kind of. I don't want to sound like an advert. They don't pay me. I just genuinely, it's blown me away. I'm like just shocked by how insanely like directional their tom mics are, and just everything, man. The overheads are like comparable to Telefunkens, like the SE8s. It's wild. It's just they're what I don't know. I don't know why I'm talking about this. Oh, it's because they're next to me. Very impressed. Very, very impressed with them.
We're talking about, though, you know, vulnerability, humility, learning. You know, I think that what is often the advice that's often given to either young drummers or drummers trying to make it in the industry or become professionals is, hey, just practice really hard, get in the room, do the work, which I think is still true. But what do you think is some additional advice that you would give that's beyond just practice? Because I think there's more to it than that.
Have fun. That's it. That's literally it. Like strip it all back. Why do you play drums? Ask anyone. Like the reason is some variation of joy. Do you know what I mean? Like it comes back to the same thing for everyone. And as soon as you forget that, you've lost the whole point. You've literally like, why are you doing it now? So when I see people that
Yeah.
are like, oh, I'm working through some crazy stuff and it's like kicking my ass, I'm getting angry, I've been like punching my floor time, and I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? You like, drumming is fun. If it's not fun today, then my advice is put the sticks down, go for a beer, like do something fun and play drums when you're having fun. And there's a lot of science to support that as well. I can like go into it if you want me to. I can nerd out, but there, like, you're not even going to remember if you're like mad or having a bad time. Your brain isn't going to remember. So even if you think you're working through stuff, you don't. It's just you. Why are you doing it? So yeah, my advice to like, especially like the kids, just don't lose
Yeah.
the reason why you're doing it, which is to have fun. That's all I could say.
It's funny. So I've done a couple of these interviews now, and that is consistent. Maybe it's said a little bit differently, but like at the end of the day, we're drummers.
Yeah,
We're here to play drums and have fun and create and, you know, inspire, whatever you want to call it. And if you are so focused on the things you can't do, that you forget about all the things you can. I mean, oh my gosh, we get to do this. Like you said at the very top of this video, like drums are the escape. It's a way to emotionally center yourself. To me, I think of it as like my soul kind of realigns with where it's supposed to be every time I'm behind the kit. You know, it sounds a little cheesy, but what I mean is just like, it's the most present I ever am is when I'm just playing the kit and communicating.
Dude, I mean, just to elaborate on that a little bit, I guess it's called, say, flow state. I'm not an expert on this, but one of my friends was telling me that he's been like practicing meditation, and like his goal is to experience flow state. And he said that like there's like whole like groups online and stuff that he's part of, and like all these people are like trying to feel what flow state feels like just once or something. I don't know, really, I'm not in these groups, but when he described it to me, I was like, dude, that is me every time I play drums. Like, people think that I'm not into it, or people think that I'm not like, because I'm not like a performative drummer. Like, I don't do the stick tricks, and I don't do like the hair spinning and all that. Like, I've just never, like, I find it, funnily enough, I actually really enjoy watching it. For myself, I don't feel comfortable doing it, and I don't like how I feel when I do it. It just doesn't feel right for me, so I don't. But yeah, I think because I look a bit like whatever the face is that I pull, because I look a bit weird, people kind of just assume that I'm not. People assume I'm not having fun, but it is flow state. I am so in a different universe. I'm not even on the same planet, dude. Like, and it's every single time, even on a pad. Like, if I'm on the pad, like literally on the practice pad, if my girlfriend walks in the room and like taps me on the shoulder, I feel like I go into cardiac arrest. I jump out my skin. I'm like, oh my god, don't scare me like that. And she's like, I didn't scare you. And it's just because it's like woken me out of this trance that I was in. But yeah, dude, every single time I am at one with the click, and I am at one with what I'm doing, and nothing else is present, and it's bizarre. I've got a stage before, and people were like other band members were like, "Oh my god, did you see when that person? It was crazy. They did this backflip, and then this happened, and this happened." And I'm like, "No, I didn't. I didn't see any of that." So yeah, but it is funny how it's perceived, because people think I'm not feeling it because of how I look, but it actually couldn't really be any more opposite. I just show it in a weird little, I don't even know how to describe it. Just a weird way, and a very not cool way. I don't look cool.
I think people would argue you look pretty cool, but what I will say is, I know exactly what you mean. Like, I can't do the stick twirls or I could do it, but it's the same thing. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. Like, I feel like I'm being, like, for the people who can do it, they look awesome, but I know I don't. I look silly. But like, it's funny, since starting YouTube, like, I can watch myself when I get into that zone, and you can tell when the song is, well, I'll just say this, like, I have like two extremes. Either one, I'm like screaming at the camera, or I'm like, losing my fucking mind. And then on the other side, I'm like, you can just tell I'm like focused, like I'm locked in. Yeah, I'm zoned in, and it's typically when I'm doing like dream theater stuff, or like the technical, like different time signatures. I'm like, okay, you need to be in this right now. And then when I'm just like shedding, doing double bass or stupid stuff, or like, especially because a lot of what I'll do is when I do a cover, I'll do the first half of the song as close to the album as I think it needs to be, and then the second half I just do whatever I want.
That's interesting. What could I ask why? That's really interesting.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is, if you want to hear the record, you have the opportunity to do that. If you want to watch my interpretation of the record, then I'm going to do it. And the way I kind of look at it is, the YouTube is a little bit of a resume. So I'm like, I want to show I can do it. Like, I can play the album. So if an artist calls and says, hey, I need you to to do this. I'm like, yeah, I can do it, absolutely, no problem. But for all the people watching, check this out. This is kind of what I hear when I hear the song.
Sure, you want to put your... That's
and
interesting. Oh, okay. It's just very... I found it very interesting because I've done maybe two... No, I've done 3 cover songs now, not 2, sorry. I've done 3 cover songs in my career, and every time I've had a similar but different approach, but similar morals, but I guess for a different reason. So for me, when I do a cover song, I don't like it. I'm going to start fresh on this one. I don't like it when I see a cover song where it's the original song just played with guitar, bass, and drums with distortion. Because I'm just like, well, you haven't put your touch on it. You haven't really put what you do on it. You've just played it. And I find that a little bit... I think it lacks in creativity and uniqueness. And then I beg the question, why have you covered it? Second to that, I don't like it when it's unrecognisable and it's so wild that you can't tell what it is, because then I'm like, well, you haven't paid a homage to the original. I guess I'm quite... now I'm saying it out loud. Apparently I'm very particular with cover songs, but whenever I do them, I like to... like what you said, you start close to the original and then you deviate. I like to do that. So the 3 songs I've covered, one was a Beyonce song. I did that when I was a lot younger, and it starts with the exact same sample work and the exact sort of same intro. I'll be honest, that one doesn't slowly develop. But I was also very young. I was a teenager when I did that. I just kind of did balls to the wall and just went heavy. So that's maybe not a good example. But after that, I did a Sting cover. I covered "Shape of My Heart." And I did everything in my power to make it as true to the original as I could. I researched what acoustic guitar they used, what strings they used, what mics they used, and I re-recorded it as close as I possibly could. I even mimicked where he was off the grid, and I tried to replicate that for the same sort of flow. And I did everything I could to really try and like honor the original, and I slowly grow it and develop it more and more into what I do. And then at the end of the song, where the original actually ends, I added on another 8 or another 16, and I just did my thing. And I was very proud of that cover, and I think it did very well. I could look it up, but I believe that's like in the tens of millions now of plays. And then since then, I've done one more cover of an Anne Marie song. This was not with Oceans. This was a solo song, and I did the same thing. I tried to match the piano tone as close to the original. It's a really unusual piano tone in the original, and I spent days trying to tone match and replicate it and pay respect to the original artist. Even though I had Lauren Babick singing, who's American, Anne Marie is British, and we really tried. Like, me and Lauren put a lot of work in together to make it to just pay respect to the original artist, and anytime she put a certain twang on it, British twang, we were trying to, but I did the same thing throughout the song. I got more and more like me, and then same thing at the end where the original song finished, I went full shit again. And I'm really proud of those 2 covers, and because they pay respect to the original. You know exactly what song they are, but it still has my touch on it, and that's what I believe a cover should be. I guess I didn't so much do it with the Beyonce cover, but yeah, I was a kid. So that's why I found it very interesting when you said you do the like true to the album and then deviate, because I do similar with covers.
Yeah, and it's funny. So I think it was Brian Fraser Moore, because we were talking about fills and like how to create a fill for a song. And one of the things we talked about was, you want to maintain the spirit of the song, right? So like, to your point, I can do whatever I want to do, like compositionally, so long as it honors the spirit of the song. So like, I'll do a Lady Gaga video and add double bass to like the last chorus, but it complements the spirit of the song. It's not like clashing with it, and I think that is important.
I believe so. I view myself more as a composer than a drummer anyway. I know that like online I'm viewed as a drummer because that's the medium in which you see me. You see me performing songs, so you just go, oh, he's a drummer, he's on drums. But I spend so much more time. I would go with like 90-10 split, like 90% of my time composing, 10% playing. Probably more, like 95-5. I view myself as a composer, and I get way more excited by composition. Like it could be a very, very simple drum part, but if it's done tastefully in a composition where it shines, then I'll fall in love with it. It's similar with like skateboarding. Like I grew up skateboarding. I'd always rather see a big textbook kick flip, loads of tweak, back foot catch, bolt slammed. I'd rather see that every time versus like some crazy 720 double flip that rolls around the floor and they just about catch it and toe drag and whatever. Which is funny because with that comparison, I suppose like my drumming is sort of the equivalent to that because I do a lot of like more techie stuff, but I guess I like to think I still do it properly.
Well, and I think,
But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, you said something in there. I think it's really important. And there's two things. One, I'm just going to share with you. I also grew up skateboarding. The only reason I stopped skateboarding was because I broke my ankle and I had to record that day.
and so
You are
I'm
literally
like,
same exact story. Exact same story.
Yeah, I'm like, I had to push through the pain. Double bass with a broken ankle. It was awful.
but
I didn't have a
second,
recording. I broke my ankle and I had a gig in like 2 weeks after, and it was like one of my first proper gigs, and I was like, I have to make this gig. And dude, the older you get, you don't bounce, and you can't. I can't. If I break my ankle now, no, dude, I can't do that. It's a
trust
shame.
me, like I know you, which we may not have time for this, but I know you're into fitness as well. And so
Yeah.
like every time I go to the gym and I lift with my legs, I'm like, please just make it through. Just make it through this one time.
Dude, yeah, I know, man. That's part of growing up, though. You have a newfound respect for your body and for injuries, and warm ups and warm downs and stretching means so much to me. It's that it has meaning to me now. Because growing up, you're told, man. Honestly, I don't learn by being told. Really, I learn by like experiencing. Because I was told all throughout growing up, oh, you must warm up, you must stretch, you must this, you must that, and I was like, I don't care. I'll jump on the climbing wall. I'll do what I want. I'll just do it. It's only until you get injured and then you're like, wow, could I have avoided this? And then it's only when you're rehabbing and you're getting back on the climbing wall and you're like, oh, I'm really sore where I was injured. I need to stretch. And then you start seeing the benefits and then you're like, oh, wow, they weren't lying. Why didn't I listen? But like, yeah, I'm like, I definitely have to like see with my own two eyes sort of thing. I guess I'm a very visual learner. But yeah, dude, definitely can't be skateboarding now. I hate to say it. It's too much. The risk doesn't out. The risk doesn't outweigh the joy for me because I do enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it that much to risk it. So I'm a rock climber. The climbing I do enjoy that much that it's worth the risk. I will never stop climbing, and I've had some climbing injuries which have put me out of drumming for a long time. Not that long ago, in fact, in lockdown, I snapped the tendon in this finger here, and that completely put me out for a good 6 months of no drumming. Luckily, it was in lockdown, so I had no shows. But and everybody said to me like, "Oh, I guess you're gonna that's it for climbing. Then you're gonna pack it in." And I was like, no, because the joy that I get from climbing it's a necessity. Like I need drumming and I need climbing, and I can't do one without the other. So for that, the risk is worth it for me. I just have more respect now and stretch more, and I don't push as hard as I used to push. But for me, with skateboarding, the enjoyment and the reward isn't as high as I need to have that risk. you know.
That's the same thing for me with like fitness. Like I'm big into lifting weights and going to the gym, and
Right.
I hurt myself twice. I tore my joint in my shoulder a couple years ago, and you know, again, you come back to it. You're like, all right, newfound respect. I gotta change how I lift, be more responsible. And then recently, actually, I hurt my hip. I don't know exactly what I did, but I hurt my hip, and so I just like, all right, I cannot afford to do this. So I took all the weights, cut the weight in half. You know, I was also being really dumb. I was like, hey, I can. It's one of those things where like just because you can doesn't mean you should do it. You know, and
that's
I was
me
like,
with climbing now.
let's see. Yeah, I was like, let's see how heavy I can push with my legs. And I'm like, God, don't. So again, same thing. Like, okay, what are your priorities? For me, it's on a personal side, it's these right back here, and then on the non-career side, I got, you know, my family to take care of. Like, I can't be over here hurting myself doing silly stuff. So, but I do want to go back to something you said really quick, because I do think it's something that modern drummers. This is not even on my question. You just said it, and I thought of it. But this is something I think modern drummers specifically struggle with. What you mentioned, you know, I guess I'm a little bit more on the other side, technique-wise, of like doing the crazy stuff and the techie stuff. And I do think there is a little bit of a stigma or an impression for drummers who do play a little bit more technically or have crazier fills or whatever it is, right? Going on that more extreme side, there's a stigma of like, well, they can't play pocket or they can't play groove or they do that because that's all they can do. And I think what's important, you mentioned it, like your intention, your feel, your composition that goes into those parts is no different than it would be if you were doing a 4 on the floor or doing, and I think that's something that gets missed sometimes. And it's this like thought, you know, it's this thought process of like, well, I could never do that, so I'm going to say poo-poo on you for doing it. And
maybe.
I'm curious.
I think it could also just be lack of understanding because, like, sorry, you was about to ask a question. Don't forget the question, please. But just to really quickly,
no, I won't.
One thing that people say to me is like, "Oh, there's no kick drum dynamic. Like he never learned dynamics or something like that." But the thing is, in the kind of metal that I play, it is stylistically correct to have even kick drums, and I trained specifically to have even kick drums, and that's my goal. And the dynamics are built in other ways in metal, and that is the genre, and that is what we do. And it's like, I think that the people who are like, oh, but there's no kick drum dynamic, I think it is maybe because they don't understand the genre, or understand that that's an intentional effort. So maybe that's a part of it as well. But yeah, I don't know where I was really going with this.
No, I agree with what you're saying, and it's actually going the path I was thinking of, where it's like, it's to me, it's a lack of understanding, but also it's the way I look at it. And again, I came from the techie death metal, like math metal. You know, I used to call it progressive death metal is what I kind of came from.
But now I play.
We probably grew up on similar bands. We should talk about that after.
We should, yeah.
But to your point, like, but then as I got older, I started doing funk and pop and rock. And the way I think about it is, you know, there's and maybe because I'm just coming up with this on the fly, I'm not sure what my question is, but my thought is like, you know, there is value to exploring every type of music, every type of feel, every type of groove, and I think that it inspires those things. And I think what gets missed is even when you're doing maybe a crazy fill or cymbal accents or a double bass beat, you might be thinking of a funk song you heard 5 years ago, and you said, that feel, that vibe that I really enjoyed, I'm going to take my version of that and put it in this song, and that is appropriate for the song I'm playing. I'm not showing off, I'm not overplaying, I am playing what speaks true to my soul for this section. This is my personality that you're hearing. And so I think that's really what I'm trying to get to.
So okay, bit of a tangent, very much linked. I like to relate most times I'm like discussing music, I relate it to something visual or not, well, something not music related and ideally visual. Because music is interesting because it's one of the most powerful forms of art, but it's also just ears. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got five senses and music hits one sense. It's not like film where you've got a minimum of two senses, you know, um, or like any other form of art. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is ticking one of the five boxes, and it can be very difficult to be on the same page and communicate what you're thinking when it comes to music because it is just ears. And so I like to give examples that are non-music related, like the most direct comparisons I can, because it really makes things seem way more clear. And the example that you just gave about uh, like picking from a pool of knowledge of experience and making your own unique thing. The example I like to give for this one, this is something I've discussed in the past, is food and being a cook. Like, imagine if you like was, I don't know, I don't really know where I'm going with it. I said I've given this example before and I'm about to blow it. But you could, let's say you live in a, like, you're locked in a room your whole life and you literally eat one meal every day. Like, if you were let loose, like, and someone says, "Right, go, can you cook me a meal?" You're going to be like, "Cool, I know one meal. I know how to cook this one meal, and that is what you will make." Um, versus someone who travels the world eating everything they can everywhere they go. They're like, I want to try this street food, that, the other, and they take notes of all the flavors that they like and all the flavors that they don't like. Now, when they go home and they go to cook a meal, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, let's go. I love this. I love that. Let's mix these, see if that works. Oh, I don't like this though. Let's not use, you know what I mean? Like, that's the equivalent of what you just said with drumming. Because people say to me, like, oh yeah, I listen to metal. I grew up listening and playing metal and now I play metal. And yeah, I'm struggling to like stand out. I'm like, let's address that, shall we? um, I think I've just kind of elaborated on what you said, but that would be my non-musical example. You absolutely need a foundation of as much as you can, so that you can pick your own unique flavors and throw back into the world what you enjoy the taste of. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, big time agree with that.
100%.
Everybody I've met with so far, we've all agreed a part two is going to be necessary. So I think for us, for sure, because I'm like making a friend right now, and I'm like,
Even
Yeah,
if we
same.
don't record part two,
Yeah,
you know,
dude. Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to talk to you more.
Same, dude. Count
But
me in on that. Absolutely.
awesome, and I'll send you my info after this. But these next couple questions, I'm going to try to keep it brief, mainly because I could sit here with you for like 3 or 4 more hours and talk about all this stuff. You know, we talked a lot about the double bass stuff without talking about it, because again, to me, I'm like, I don't want to ask you the same questions you get asked every day.
but
That's
what I
true.
do think is important,
We've
regardless.
been very round about it, haven't we? It's been very relevant topic, but we've not like gone in.
Yeah, and I did that on purpose because
Yeah.
one, just because it's something you're known for doesn't mean it's the thing you want to always be known for. But then two, like, there's so much more to your playing than just double bass.
Mm.
So what I think is important about the double bass part, but even the hands, even the fills, the cool accents you're doing, the groove that you're implementing, because it's not just technical metal. It's you have a feel that you're putting out there. What do you
Yeah.
think is crucial to developing speed, but probably more important, like the endurance, not just for double bass, but just to play the kit at that level for, recordings, live, whatever the case is.
Yeah, right. So there's one thing you missed, if I may say so. You talked about speed, endurance, but you didn't talk about accuracy or power. And they are all linked, and you cannot have one without the other. Um, that you can have it without power if you want to go the trigger route, actually. Um, but for me personally, for my playing and my goals and my what I want to do, they're all in the same category. Like you need all of those things to be at the top. And that is because that's what the genre is. The genre is aggressive, powerful, even kicks, and even in terms of volume and velocity, and even in terms of equidistant spacing, and all of those things are paramount. To me, speed without accuracy is worthless, really. Well, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. So I think that, just to elaborate on your question, I think there's a couple of things missing from that which really, really need to be highlighted. And second from that, the thing that different things have trained different things for me. So what's trained my speed is different to what trained my endurance, and those are different to what trained my accuracy, and those are different. So I'll quickly try and tick off each of them for you. Preference on what you want to start with, or should I just dive in?
Go for it. Go for it.
Right. Accuracy was actually accuracy and power were both have they have a crossover, and that is with home recordings. If you sit behind a kick drum and play as even as you can, 16 notes, ba, 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 your ear might say, these sound really even on power, because it's fucking loud. So it all sounds loud. And then as soon as you throw a beat of 91A in there and you look at it, like you actually visually look at the waveform, what you often see is right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg, but. And you listen and you're like, oh wow, my left leg is weaker. And what I did was I would constantly record at home and adjust and adjust. And honestly, I'd go too far in the other direction. Sometimes I'd be like, oh wow, my left leg's too loud. And then, yeah, I experimented a lot until I could feel, because I could visually see when they were even, and then I learnt the feeling. And I learnt the feeling of when my left leg was too loud, and I learnt the feeling when my right leg was too loud. And it kind of comes fairly naturally now. So the power is, I can make the power consistent from training visually from what I see on my computer screen. That is also partly to do with accuracy, because when it comes to accuracy, I would do recordings and I would notice that if I record a section to a song before I go and shoot a video for it or something, I'll record the section multiple times over, nail it, and then I'll move on to the next section multiple times until I nailed it. And then, it was like a whole process before I do a video shoot, and I don't commit to the video shoot until I feel I've got it. But I'll find patterns, like consistent patterns with accuracy. So I'll find that in this fill, I consistently start it early and finish it late. And maybe it's a fast fill, maybe I'm struggling to fit it in. So that fill, I will then, with a very active, conscious effort, to start later and play it faster. And then the more recordings I do, the more I'm seeing it's real close to the grid now. And I would have never known if I wasn't looking. So that's where the crossover is for the computer for accuracy. But second to the accuracy one, and similar with like 16 notes, maybe you'll see your left leg's consistently a bit late and a bit of gallop. You can visually see these patterns and you can correct. But it's quite hard to do without. I remember being at college and my college tutor being like, bit loose. And I remember being like, man, that doesn't help anything. What was loose? How was it loose? Was it early, late? Like, I can't benefit from this, but seeing it on the computer takes out all the guesswork and you know exactly what to work on. But similar to that, accuracy training is also like hiding the click. If you can, and I tend to like really overdo my clicks. I do them at like 16 notes, depending on the tempo. My click will be in my ears. I prefer to hear that because I have less room for error and I try and cover everyone. And as soon as you hear any deviation, you can pull it back. Versus like a quarter click, you could have really deviated in that time and not even had known. And then you have to correct by the next one, and so much time has passed, and it's this big push and pull. But I don't want that in the genre that I do. So yeah, accuracy training is a bit of PC and a bit of just burying the click and really zoning in. So that's a bit of crossover for power and that. Another thing I didn't talk about with power is speed power max. So one thing that a lot of drummers do is when they play 4 on the floor, they hit this loud with their kicks, and they're like, and then it comes to the 16 triplet part, and then they go, and that's not good. So because even if the left and the right are even, it's not even overall. So I call it the speed power max, and that'll be different per song or per set or per performance. But let's say that the fastest and most endurance based kick part of this song is this, and I can play that. The most powerful and the most I can give is here. I do that for the whole song then. So if there's 4 on the floor, I could play louder, but I won't. So training power isn't as simple as people think, because people think when it comes to training power, oh, you just hit as hard as you can. It's really not the case. You need it even between left and right, and you need it even between fast and slow. And again, visually seeing that helps. So training power or training a speed power max is computer and visual. Training accuracy is computer, repetitive, learning patterns, tweaking, and really zoning into the click. Training endurance, this one, honestly, I trained by touring. Now, when I was at home, no matter what I do, I can't replicate a show. I just can't. It will always be more humid on stage. And like I've got plenty of friends who have bought sauna suits, and they zip it up and they have like a sort of full body like starfish sauna suit, and they'll play the set in that. And I'm like, well, does it work? And they're like, nah, still hotter on stage, it's different. And I'm like, cool. And then like I'm like, oh, I hit harder on stage. I'm gonna hit as hard as I can in this practice to like replicate my stage performance. You get on stage, you've got another 10% in the bag. Like I don't know where it comes from, but no matter what I do, I cannot replicate a live show. So no matter how much I tried to train endurance at home, it was worthless. It was worthless because it wasn't what I needed. But touring, man, man, like heavy touring, like 7, 8 months a year, I mean, that did it for me. Because it doesn't matter if you're like, I mean, if you're really sick, you can't play, like I said, but it doesn't matter if you like got a cold or a flu. It doesn't matter if you're a bit injured. It doesn't matter if you're hungover. It doesn't matter if you're jet lagged. You're playing tonight for an hour and you're giving it your all. And it's the same last night and it's the same tomorrow night. And when you do that to your body, it bounces, like your body adapts, is all I can say. You adapt. And I remember thinking, I discussed this with Craig Reynolds as well. He was like, yeah, we did like an hour set headline tour back to back onto a support tour. And he said the end of the 30-minute support set after doing an hour every night, he was like, I was barely sweating. It felt like nothing. It was over like that. It was too easy. And that's, if you don't tour for a long time and you do a 30-minute support set, it could still very much kick your ass. And your body, adapts to what you put it through. And I've never been able to put my body through the endurance required for touring without touring. So I hate to say it because I know this isn't the answer people want, but I'm just being truthful. The way I trained endurance was being out on the road, doing 200 shows a year, 250 shows a year. That shit trained my endurance. I guess try to replicate that the best you can at home, but I don't know if anyone can actually replicate it truly. And then the other thing is, speed. That's the first thing you ask, and the last thing I address. Speed's an interesting one because speed is nothing without the others. Speed is worthless without accuracy. Speed is worthless without consistency with power, without the hits being equidistant. So I honestly think that the reason I addressed it last is because it is the last thing that you should look at. I think it's a byproduct, if anything. I think it's a byproduct of what we just said. There are certain things you can do to make it slightly more advantageous for you. Certain techniques, but I still think they should be the last thing you address, actually. So yeah, dude. I think we could deep dive on how to get speed, but I really think that's a whole other conversation. And I think that the other things should come first. And that was a long answer. I know you've got work to get to, and I'm giving you long ass answers. I'm so sorry. I hope that was I hope that's answered your question though.
Yeah, do not apologize. I'm like, we're locked up right now because one, I'm gonna step away in a second because what I can do, and I'm gonna cut this part out, is I'm just gonna pull my laptop up right here and continue talking to you for a little bit longer if that's all right.
Yeah, dude, I'm
So
fine
I'm
with
just
that.
gonna go do that. Yeah, just gonna go grab it in just a second. But let me just address what you said really quick. I literally cannot agree with you at any more degree. So like starting YouTube and starting to recording myself, mixing my own videos, editing my own videos, you learn so much about your playing.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
where your where your blind spots are, where your you know I'm not the kind of person who's going to quantize everything to 127. Like I'm not just
Hmm.
going to go in there and do the hits. Like no, I'm going to play the damn parts.
Yeah.
And if they're not perfect, I'll redo it, or I'll just say, you know what, like this is what I'm putting out. But um, it, you learn so much. So anybody who has the opportunity to record themselves, edit
Yeah.
themselves, and look at themselves, whether it's just on your iPhone, even like
Yeah.
do it and learn because the proof is in the data. It's right in front of you. You can't get away from what's there. But the other thing you said, and I can't, again, I also this is coming from somebody who, when I was younger, speed was everything. Like you have to be the fastest. You have to wait, whatever.
Oh, right.
But but now as an adult, somebody who looks at the instrument very differently, speed is like the least important thing. Speed is
Yeah.
a tool. It's something that you can
Yeah.
rely on.
Speed. I have answers to both of the things you just said. So first of all, uh, like you agree on how valuable it is seeing it, but going back not long ago to the conversation when I said thing it's just ears, but having other references to tick other senses helps. Like this is taking it from just ears to visual. Again, it's valuable, dude. Really valuable. And then you said about speed being like was the first thing on your list, and now it's not. For me, speed comes with freedom. So the reason I wanted speed growing up wasn't to be the fastest, wasn't to be the fastest ever. It was because I hate not being able to play an idea in my head. Like if I can think of something, I want to play it. And the most frustrating thing I've found in my drumming career is having an idea and not being able to do it. That is the most infuriating part of drumming for me. So having good, not just good speed, but having like great coordination and having great syncopation and understanding time signatures and understanding metric modulations and having valuable speed and having all of these things under your belt means that when you have something that you want to play, you can. It's about freedom for me. So I do actually still place value on being able to play fast, but not to be the fastest. It's so that you can play whatever you can dream, and that's obviously dope, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to your point though, like, because I agree with you, speed for speed's sake is not the most important thing, but
But
speed
speed,
as a compositional tool, that's where it becomes crucial. Like if you can, to your point, I can get the fill I want into a section, or I can get this idea in my head out on a recording, or I don't have to, if I have developed my speed, I am more able to, what's the word I'm looking for, like communicate my ideas, on the
Yeah.
instrument, and without it, I can't do it. But to your point, speed, if you can't play it slow, you shouldn't play it fast. And
and
Oh
so
yeah.
so
if
if you
you need, if you need to work on it, then work on it. Do the work, get in there, practice, 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 listen, analyze, and then the speed will just come. It comes
I
from
do I do love fast stuff as
from
well though. Like don't get me wrong, fast stuff is dope as well. Like I get enjoyment from it, but I also get enjoyment from slow stuff. It's not exclusive. It's like it's
yeah
because it still is like it's that element of like full send. It's that element of like excitement. Like it's the same with climbing. Like you go to a huge overhanging wall and you're just like, whoa. Like it's similar in climbing. It's like, oh, you shouldn't just train arms. You shouldn't just train, power. What about slabs? What about technical climbing? What about, all your balance and stretching and flexibility? And it's true, man. It's so valid, but it doesn't take away that raw feeling when you see a huge overhang and you're just like, oh. Like it's the same with drumming as well. Like it's like we've just been discussing, it's not all about speed, of course not. But you can't deny when you see a drummer rip a wild thing, you still go, yo. Like, it's still got that raw enjoyment. But I think from our perspective and from a more educational perspective, like, none of it matters if you can't execute it. Like, seeing this huge, amazing overhang is cool, but if you can barely get off the ground, then it's just pointless being there.
Yeah,
So
it's almost like it's a
I just
goal.
wanted to put yeah, I just wanted to put some credit on the other side of speed as well. Like, it is still super cool, but it's not everything,
Oh,
and it
trust.
shouldn't be the first thing
Yeah.
when coming to learn stuff.
Yeah, trust me. I'm like, my background and even today, there's a video that went up today. I'm doing a pop song, and the very last chorus, I'm just ripping double bass the whole time because, again, it feels good. It's fun. Like, so, 100% agree with you. Like, there is a balance to it. If you're wanting to get fast, all the other stuff we talked about is really important. If you're already fast, let them have it, dude. Like, just get after it and have a good time. Yeah, the cat is definitely making it in the video. There are certain people I'm like, cool, I've made a new friend because, we're professional acquaintances and now we know each other and we can connect. For you though, I'm like, we are so in lockstep on some of these things, and I'm like, and I just love your personality and like who you are as a person. I'm like, dude, I feel like I've got somebody that I would text on a daily basis and be like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? What's new in your life? Not just drums. So,
But
Hell yeah, dude.
you
I have 3 questions. Something that you've done for our industry that not a lot of folks have is you've de-emphasized gear and put it on the sense of like gear is not the most important thing. Technique, practice, all those things are. And I've been on the other end of some conversations where it's like, if I just had this piece of gear, I could do this thing. And good gear is absolutely fundamental and valuable to being a professional, without a doubt. But with that being said, when you're learning the instrument and you're trying to achieve a certain skill set, gear should not be priority number 1. And you've been so fundamental in driving that message. I remember watching you playing on like a 100-year-old pedal. I can't remember how old it was, but I remember watching that video and you're like, dude.
Yeah.
But like to your point, like it's not that important, and I shouldn't say that, but it's not the most important. So I'm just
Curious, where did that
come to you?
So I've not really had the luxury of growing up in a very wealthy family, and I'm not mad about that, might I add. But I like having like the top end stuff was never really something that I had, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for that because it's taught me to make the absolute most with what I've got, and do you know what it's about? It's about you exceeding the ability of what you've got instead of having the thing that you've got exceed your ability and you don't know how to control it. So a good example for this is cars and drifting, because obviously I'm into that as well. You can spend so much money on building a drift car, dude. Like, you can spend so much money, and so many people who have like crazy rich families have that, and they're not the best drivers. And it's the car capability far outweighs the driver's capability. It's not going to make you a good driver. It's almost like being sold dreams. Do you know what I mean? And I see all these people where their cars are like in the garage like most of the year, and they're like, oh, I need this and I need that before I get it out on the track. But you need seat time. You need to get out on the track. And the guys that are the best at drifting are the ones that have got a bunch of like cheap burner cars, like really low power, hardly any mods, literally just like put fuel in the car, weld the diff, and go drive and have fun and get experience. Those are the guys that do well with the cheapest, worst cars. And it's just the same for drumming for me. Like, you could spend all this time researching the product and you could spend all this money on the product and then you could get it, but you're probably just going to be back online being sold another dream and chasing the next product. What you really need is seat time. You need to have fun and work with what you've got. dude, when I teach a lot of people double kick, and I teach them to not use pedals. I teach to play on the floor, and it works really well. Like, stop blaming your pedals, dude. Like they don't move themselves. They're inanimate objects. Do you know what I mean? Um, I just, yeah. I guess it's a lot to do with my background and my upbringing, but I've always been taught, like, you know, your driver capability should outweigh the car's capability before you upgrade. And I believe it's the same with drumming. I believe it's the same with everything. You know, that's just me.
No, I agree 100%. And, I joke about that because a lot of times I'll get questions of like, why do you have a double bass drum set, or why do you have this crazy thing? And like, part of it is because it looks badass on camera and I do YouTube. That's part of it. But then another thing is like, I've been playing for 30 years and, excuse me, before I jumped onto something like this, like I know how to play it. I know what to do with the sounds I have, but the drum set doesn't matter to me. I joke about this all the time. Of all the touring I've done, I've played on my own drum set maybe 3 times, 4 times. A lot of times you're renting, backlining. It could be anything from, excuse my language, but a shitty, 1999 Mapex Mars, all the way up to when I played at Leipzig, a DW collector's kit. It could be everything in between. And the thing you can control is your knowledge, your experience, your practice, your hard work. You can't control what kit you're always going to be on. I remember the first pedal I ever had, it was like this old, it was called Pulse, like way back.
Oh, okay.
And
right.
Yeah, you might remember. And the thread for the chain stripped, like immediately. And my dad, because he didn't know, like, I was 8 years old, he didn't know. He bought me this like threading screw, and we would put that in there. And so I had this gigantic screw, sticking out of the pedal, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I can't just buy something. I gotta
work around it.
I remember I had a lesson with a guy called Matt. I'm sure he won't mind me using his name because he found this just as hilarious as me. We did like Skype lessons. He's American, and his pedal, I can't remember what pedal it was, but we like really messed with the settings on it a lot to try and stop it like bottoming out, but the pedal kept bottoming out onto something, and there was like a massive threaded bar sticking up from the base plate which was hitting the bottom of the pedal, and I was like, dude, why are we trying to mess with it? Go get your angle grinder and cut that bitch off. And in a Skype lesson he had sparks flying at his phone, and he and yeah, it was just like that's the spirit I like. It's like, here's some random pedal that's got this random problem. Let's just throw some time at it and work with it and go play it. That's what it's about, just going and playing it. Like, yeah, dude, I love that. I really love that.
So I'll say this, so when you do have the luxury of being able to either work with a brand, we're both endorsed with some similar brands, or you have the ability to afford those items, you want to make sure you're ready for them. And like, so to your point, like if you have to cut a damn piece of the pedal off to make it work, then do it. Like, get the work, do the work, practice. I remember, I remember playing with broken sticks at one point because I'm like, I don't have anything else, but I'm not going to not play. So you're getting splinters in your hands, but you're like, I'm doing this. So it's in fact, the last tour I did before I put the sticks up for a little while was all broken cymbals, which is never what you want, but it was like, I'm gonna play, like that's not an excuse not to play, like I'm gonna do it.
You never know what you discover though, because there's certain cymbals which I prefer the sound of when they're broken. Like, you discover things through the journey of that,
what it comes down to, and it's a little bit even back to like the practice part of it, is like I just not accepting limitations. Like, I will not accept an excuse or a limitation. I will use this as an opportunity to explore. What can I learn from this situation? And maybe a holy china sounds better when there's a big ass crack in it. I don't know, but the point is like, yeah, right. But the fact of the matter is, like, you learn in every opportunity. That guy learned that by cutting off the piece of the pedal, I've now unlocked this new maybe not new, but I've unlocked the ability to play the way I want to play. And it's like all it took was just, had nothing to do with me as a drummer, just had to do with me cutting that thing off. But
Getting
With
stuck
that,
in. That's what it is.
I have,
It's to do with you getting stuck in.
yeah, and creating excuses for yourself. And we could have a whole other conversation about discipline as people who are into fitness, and that's probably for part 2. But what I'll say, because I think discipline is, in my opinion, what changed my entire life, is just being able to dial that up and say, I don't care if I'm motivated or not, I have to do the work because it's what I want. And it's what I want for myself.
Yeah, indeed.
But here's what I'll say. Yeah, because we're getting up to, I think, almost an hour over, which, thank you. One of the things that I want people to take away from this series, more than anything else, is the graciousness or gratitude or grace that true professionals lead with. And I would consider that for you, because you're basically saying, like, hey, dude, we booked an hour, but I'm going to be gracious. I don't even think you're thinking about it this way, but to me, it's like you're being very gracious with your time, and you're saying, like, dude, let's keep this going. Let's talk. Let's share what we can share. And to me, like, that is the ultimate gift I think we can give to the audience. And so I just want to say, before I go into like this last question, I just want to say thank you, because this has been a true, like, just fucking joy. Like, this has been so much fun.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. I mean, I agree, but yeah. I mean, you don't have to thank me though. Like, at the end of the day, dude, you hit me up and said, hey, I want to talk to you. Like, it's, why would I've like, I can't explain it. I'm here to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get off the phone. I'm here to be on the phone. So I didn't even know we'd been that long over. I don't know actually where the timer is on Zoom. I don't know where it says, but I don't know that we're that long over. I also don't care. Like, man, I said I'd talk to you. You've got the time for me. I've got the time for you. I love talking about drums. We're having fun. Like, no, dude, I'm not trying to get off the phone. I'm more concerned that you need to get to your actual job. But yeah, dude, you don't need to thank me. Honestly, it's my pleasure to be here. I feel honored that anybody's interested in me at all. So yeah, if you've got time for me, of course I've got time for you.
Absolutely. And I will say that, back to the very beginning of this, of putting yourself in uncomfortable situations to make yourself grow. We're both talking about my other job, but this is where my passion is. This is where I want my job to be, right? Is doing this. And yeah, there is a little bit of discomfort in that, but I'm growing, and I'm investing in my passion, investing in my dream. And I will say that is the genesis of this whole series, is talking to people who understand sacrifice, understand hard work, understand that to do what you want to do in this life, to live your dream, whether it's at the professional level or just I get to play drums, whatever it is, everything in between. Like, that's what this whole series was about, was how can we share that and inspire more people to go after it. And so you're right that I have to jump into that. But what I will say is I appreciate you. This has been seriously so much fun. So here's what I'll say, because
Thank you. You too as well. Same to you.
here's something, not to call out Hot Ones, the hot wing sauce
channel on YouTube, but
what I like to do that they do is at the very end, they say, what is next for you? Like, what projects do you have going on, goals, challenges, things that you have going on, either right now, this year, whatever it is, that you want to make sure whoever watches this and listens to it, because this goes on Spotify too, that they know this is how I can stay up to date with what's going on with Chris.
So, next up is I'm releasing a drum plugin probably next month, hopefully next month. I've put a lot of time into this, and a lot of money and passion, and it's kind of ironic because obviously I don't use samples and I'm Mr. No Sample, but I spend majority of my time composing, as we mentioned actually, and I compose on Pro Tools, and to be able to compose with my exact drum kit has been so cool, dude. But yeah, so obviously I'm using it as a compositional tool, but you guys can use it however you want. hopefully it doesn't come across weird selling samples being a no sample player, but I really hope people can see through that not being weird. But yeah, I put a lot of time into this. I have this weird like concept of how I play my double kick pedal, for example. I'll choose to lead many groupings with my left leg, or I'll choose to lead certain with my right. And I have like a whole concept and theory behind it as to why I do it. But we've trained it to think the way I think. And we've taken an insane amount of samples per limb. So not just right and left leg, but right and left hand. And we've trained it to play how I play. So you just input it and it'll choose the appropriate samples. And dude, it sounds just like me. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. But it's so cool for me because I can just bank my ideas in and hear like actually how it will sound when I play it. But yeah, dude, we've gone so deep with it. We've really gone deep with it. So I'm incredibly proud of my plugin. Chris Turner Drums should be out next month. Definitely check it out. Definitely. It's E-kit compatible. So hi-hat pedal, cymbal grabs, everything will work on your E-kit. I've been using it with my DW E-kit. It's, again, super cool to have my exact drum kit on an E-kit. So yeah, I've put a lot of time and money into this over several years. So yeah, and I should be crossing the finish line next month. A mammoth project. So please, if you're interested in any of that, please do check that out. It would mean a lot to me. And then other than that, dude, I kind of rinse and repeat now. I'm working on new albums. I'm always working on new albums. I'm 6 out of 10 songs into the new Oceans album. I plan on finishing that this year. I'm working on new solo tracks. I'm working on new YouTube videos. It's quite up more shows, more tours. The rest of the stuff, honestly, all I can say for that is just follow my socials, because then you'll see when I do new stuff. But that's all kind of, it makes it sound boring when I say rinse and repeat, but it's, more of the same thing in that sense. The only thing that's kind of out of the ordinary is the plugin, which is hopefully next month. So yeah.
I'll tell you this right now, if nobody's going to give you shit for that, because that's awesome. And again, compositional tools are, especially good ones, are hard to come by. There's some out there, but like having, back to the menu, right? I can have more ingredients. I can have more spices, more flavors. Like, hell yeah, let's do it. And for those people who use samples, here's just another resource and tool you have. And for those people who maybe don't use samples, but want to be able to get really good sounding, whether it's demo tracks, final tracks, whatever it is, and maybe they don't have access to a drummer, which, by the way, we're probably both available for session work, so if you don't have access to a drummer, let us know. But that's a great resource to have. So I think it's awesome. When this video comes out, it will likely come out after that's gone live. So what's cool about that is I can tag it, send people straight to it, so that way if they want to buy it, you can buy it straight from this interview.
Hell yeah,
and
dude,
I suggest that all of you, and I suggest everybody goes and checks it out, because obviously Chris is incredible on the drums, but his kits always sound top-notch, dialed in, tuned to perfection, just a really intense drum sound. So like, if that's the sound you want for your record or pre-production or whatever, go after this interview, excuse me, but fuck it, pause it now and just go do it really quick and then come back. Just that way you don't have to wait anymore. But but here's what I'll say. It's not boring, the rinse and repeat. You're working, you're composing, you are building, right? And so I think that what I will absolutely do is tag your socials, tag your YouTube, tag the Spotifys to Oceans, to your solo stuff, everything, because what's so important to me, of course, whoever's listening to this just got to know you better, and I not only encourage, I demand them, whoever's listening, to go check you out if they haven't already, and follow you, subscribe, because you're an insane drummer, sure, but you're a great guy, and I think that people should be supporting you and following you and checking you out. So we'll make sure all that's tagged below. Chris, this has been awesome. I really not only appreciate the time, but just connecting with you has been a blast. And I'm excited to see where this friendship goes. And thank you just for making the time. I think everybody who listens to this is going to get so much out of it. They're going to get to know you better. And again, I think this has been an invaluable episode. So just thank you for your time.
Oh, dude, honestly, pleasure's all mine. Honestly, thank you so much for talking to me and asking cool and interesting questions and, challenging me with those. And yeah, to you listeners, I really do hope you've enjoyed this and got something valuable from it. Anything at all valuable from it would be amazing. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I'm absolutely certain we'll be speaking soon.
Awesome, man. Well, I will send you my stuff, but in the meantime, thank you, and I'll talk to you next time.
Peace and love, brother.